Imagine a coach so good, so dominant, that his name alone strikes fear in his opponents. A man who turned college football into his personal playground and built a dynasty that left the rest of the nation scrambling to catch up. That man is Nick Saban. When he arrived at Alabama in 2007, the Crimson Tide was far from the unstoppable force we know today. But under his leadership, Alabama didn't just rise to the top, they owned the top. Year after year, Saban led his team to championship after championship, setting a new standard for what greatness looks like in college football. His coaching style? Ruthless, calculated, and downright genius. Players didn't just follow him, they transformed under him. He pushed them harder than anyone else, demanded perfection, and in return, he turned raw talent into superstars. But how exactly did he do it? What made Nick Saban the undisputed king of college football? Let's break down the legacy of the man who ruled it all. Nick Saban's story starts in Fairmont, West Virginia, a place that might not jump off the map, but it certainly left its mark on the man who would go on to redefine college football greatness. Born to Mary and Nick Saban Sr., young Nick spent his early years learning the value of discipline and hard work at his family's service station. If you needed your tank filled, a quick tire check, or some unsolicited life advice, the Sabans had you covered. Nick's father wasn't just a businessman, he was a coach too, running a local youth football team. Picture this, a service station during the day, chalkboards and game plans at night. It's fair to say Nick got his first taste of coaching from the man who could fix a carburetor as quickly as he could fix a quarterback's throwing mechanics. Growing up in Monongah, a small coal mining community southwest of Morgantown, Nick had an equally idyllic and hardworking childhood. His Croatian heritage played a big role in shaping the family's values. His grandfather, Stanko Saban, emigrated from Gospic, Croatia at just 13 years old, eventually making his way to Portland, Oregon before settling down. The Sabans weren't just about hard work, they were about perseverance, a trait Nick would carry throughout his life. Saban quickly made a name for himself in high school on the football field, playing quarterback for Monongah High School. In 1968, he led his team to a West Virginia state championship. It was a crowning achievement for a young man who didn't yet know that his life would revolve around the game. Football was a part of life, sure, but coaching? That wasn't on his radar. After high school, Saban attended Kent State University, where he played defensive back under head coach Don James. At Kent State, Saban's life took a pivotal turn, not just because of football, but because he met his wife Terry. Fun fact, Saban has often said Terry is the real MVP of his career. Whether it was supporting his whirlwind coaching journey or offering the kind of advice only a spouse can, Terry was there every step of the way. Saban's coaching journey began almost by accident. After his playing days at Kent State, he planned to move on with his life, perhaps entering the world of business. But Don James offered him a graduate assistant role, convincing him to stick around while Terry finished her degree. It was a decision that set the stage for one of the most illustrious coaching careers in sports history. Saban started as a GA at Kent State, but his coaching ambitions quickly gained momentum. He took assistant coaching roles at a string of programs, including Syracuse, West Virginia, Ohio State, Navy, and Michigan State. It was a bit like being a football nomad, packing up and moving every couple of years, chasing opportunities, and building a reputation as a defensive mastermind. Despite his rising stock, the road wasn't always smooth. In 1987, when Kent State had a head coaching vacancy, Saban was passed over for Dick Crum. Imagine that. Kent State choosing Crum over a guy who would later win 7 national championships. But instead of sulking, Saban joined the NFL's Houston Oilers as an assistant coach. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a step forward. By the time he landed his first head coaching job at the University of Toledo in 1990, Saban was ready to show what he could do. Toledo wasn't exactly a football powerhouse, but under Saban's leadership, the team went 9-2 and shared the Mid-American Conference title. His success was no fluke. Saban had turned a middling program into a contender in just one season. Here's a fun nugget. While at Toledo, Saban received a job application from a young coach named Urban Meyer. Yes, that Urban Meyer. Saban turned him down, proving that even the greatest coaches occasionally miss a call. After just one season at Toledo, Saban made a surprising move, leaving the Rockets to become the defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns under Bill Belichick. On paper, it looked like a step down. In reality, it was a chance for Saban to hone his craft under one of the NFL's greatest minds. The Browns' defense flourished under Saban, particularly in 1994, when they allowed the fewest points in the league. Despite the success, Saban later called his time in Cleveland the worst of my life. Maybe it was the weather, or maybe it was the Browns' legendary struggles. Either way, Saban was ready for something new. In 1995, Saban returned to college football as the head coach of Michigan State. The Spartans weren't in great shape when he arrived, dealing with NCAA sanctions and a string of losing seasons. It wasn't an easy job, but Saban steadily rebuilt the program. His first 3 seasons were a grind, with the team posting modest records, but by 1999, Saban had turned things around. That year, Michigan State went 9-2, including victories over rivals Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. It was a banner year for the Spartans, and their success was a testament to Saban's meticulous planning and relentless drive. But just as Michigan State fans were gearing up for a long run of success, Saban dropped a bombshell. He was leaving for LSU. For Michigan State, it was a bittersweet ending. They capped off the season with a Citrus Bowl victory, finishing 10-2, their best record in decades. But Saban was off to bigger and better things, and the rest, as they say, is history. After his abrupt departure from Michigan State in 1999, Nick Saban's coaching journey turned into a symphony of triumphs, broken records, and a legacy that rewrote college football's playbook. His next stop was LSU, where he quickly made an impact. In 2003, just his 4th season, he led the Tigers to a BCS national championship. Saban had officially arrived, and the college football world took notice. In 2005, he leapt for the NFL, taking the head coaching position with the Miami Dolphins. The move was bold and ambitious, but ultimately short-lived. Saban's NFL tenure lasted just 2 seasons, marked by a respectable 9-7 record in 2005, but a frustrating 6-10 campaign in 2006. When asked about returning to college football, Saban famously denied any interest, until he didn't. By 2007, Saban was back in the NCAA, this time as the head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. If his career before was a story of steady ascension, his tenure at Alabama became a masterclass in dominance. By 2009, he'd guided the Tide to an undefeated season and a national championship, the first of 6 he'd secure at Alabama. Under Saban, Alabama became the gold standard. His teams played with relentless precision, mirroring their coach's personality. Recruiting classes ranked at the top year after year, producing NFL stars like Derrick Henry, Julio Jones, and Tua Tagovailoa. In 2022, Saban signed what would become his final contract with Alabama, an 8-year, $93.6 million deal. At 72, Saban shocked the football world by announcing his retirement on January 10, 2024. It marked the end of an era, not just for Alabama, but for college football as a whole. Saban's final seasons at Alabama weren't without drama. In 2022, the Tide kicked off as the preseason #1 team, a ranking they'd held at least once every season for 15 years. The 2023 campaign saw high-stakes showdowns, including a triumphant SEC championship win over Georgia, snapping the Bulldogs' 29-game win streak. The season also featured Alabama avenging losses to Tennessee and LSU, claiming yet another SEC Western Division title, and earning Saban his 200th win at Alabama. These achievements made him the winningest coach in Alabama history, surpassing even the legendary Bear Bryant. Yet, even legends face setbacks. In the 2023 college football playoff, Alabama fell to Michigan in a heart-wrenching overtime loss in the Rose Bowl. Despite the disappointment, the Tide finished 12-2, a record most programs could only dream of. Saban's retirement announcement was met with a mix of shock, admiration, and sadness. "I've given everything I had to this game, and it's given me back more than I ever imagined," he said. True to his style, there was no grand farewell tour, just a quiet exit befitting a man who always let his work speak for itself. The University of Alabama wasted no time honoring their greatest coach. In September 2024, the field at Bryant-Denny Stadium was officially renamed Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium, a tribute as enduring as the legacy Saban built. The numbers tell an astonishing story: 292 career wins, 12 conference championships, and a coaching record of 201-29 at Alabama. He retired with the 5th most wins in college football history and a reputation unmatched in the modern era. But numbers alone can't capture Saban's impact. He wasn't just a coach. He was a mentor, a motivator, and a force of nature. He demanded excellence, not just from his players, but from himself, his staff, and even the fans. Somewhere in Tuscaloosa, you can bet there's a statue already being planned. Just don't expect Saban to smile in it. After all, he's got more important things to do, like figuring out retirement without diagramming plays on napkins. With a legacy like Saban's, how will college football ever be the same without Nick Saban leading the charge? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to check out the other videos on the channel.